a watercolour, but it's going to start slightly differently. I do like playing and experimenting, so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to wet the paper and use palette knives and put paint on in ways that you don't normally do with watercolour. So it means I have no idea what's going to happen. I've got a vague idea in my head of what I would like to happen, but because of the unpredictability of this way of working, I don't know. So we're just going to have some fun. I'll have some fun. You'll see it happen the same as I do. So we'll get going in just a second. I've got a couple down here that have been done this way, and I just want to be able to show you. Let's just hold up. This one is Great Yarmouth from Galston, and it was started in the same way that I'm going to do this one today. And then I worked into it, which I will also do in a few minutes. So that's one of them. And I have another one, which is this one, which was an imagined river industrial landscape, but again it was all done in the same way. So let's have a little look. Right, I just want to turn the page around so you can turn the camera around, sorry, so you can see what I'm doing, and I will get going. Bear with me whilst I'm just moving the camera around, and we can have a little play. Hang on a second. Okay. Right, let's just move this a little bit. Oh, you can see all the mess in my room. There we go. Hopefully you can see that okay. There we go. Right. Now, the first thing that I have to do is I need to wet my paper. So let's start with that. I've just got a spray bottle, it's just got water in there, so I'm going to start off just spraying the paper. I'm going to brush it as well in a minute. I want to make sure it's nice and wet, but just starting that way. Just make sure it's got a nice layer of water on there. Okay, so I'm going to start off using a couple of palette knives just to put the paint down, and as you can see here, I've just put some blobs of paint down just to get me started. I'm mixing here ultramarine and some cerulean. Now, I don't have a plan for this, but I know that landscapes tend to have skies at the top, a bit of land in the middle, and something in the foreground depending on what happens. I'm just going to let that do something. See what it wants to do. I think that in itself becomes quite interesting. So whilst that's just having a little run down, I'm just going to mix up a bit of a bluey browny colour. I think I'd like to put some hills into the background. So let's just start off . All of a sudden this starts to define what is going to happen. I've got this gorgeous deep yellow, so I'm going to put some of that coming down on here. And then I wasn't sure if this was going to be fields or a lake, but I think this is going to be a lake. So I'm going to put some of that yellow in there and just spray my water. And just let that run down. we've got some beautiful textures coming over here. I hope when we come to working later that I manage not to lose too much of that. Okay, now whilst this is all still wet, I'm going to take my smaller palette knife and I'm just going to scratch a few bits out, just going to give myself a few highlights. Oh, now that's something interesting. We've got this little shape in the middle. I wonder if I can highlight that a little more. It looks a bit like a cottage to me. Can you see the start of a cottage just coming in here? So let's bring a few things through there. So hello to those of you who have joined me right now from around the world, I see. Right, I want this to be my waterline. Don't want to lose those. So I'm just going to scratch that edge in there. Now you can see we've already got the bones of a landscape going on here. So it doesn't all have to be done with the palette knife. I just want to extend this dark a little bit there. Then just spray that off slightly. Now what I think I would like to happen with this now is I think I need this to dry before I work back into it. So in the interest of expedience, sorry about that, couldn't be helped. So now it is about just building up what I have here. I think I'm just going to add, right, bear with me. No, I'm going to use what I've got there. Okay, so I'm going to mix up quite an orangey colour. I just want to add a bit more into the colour on this side of the lake. So that little house there, which I will add to in a minute, has given me a bit of scale. Okay, so building that up. I know you have to go to work, Val, but it will be here when you come back. So I'm just getting a little bit of some darks tucking in behind here. I've got this dark green colour, and I'm just going to have a few of, I just want to make a tree line on top here. But what I'm going to do is wash it away at the bottom because I don't want it to be hard edged. Make that a bit redder in places as well. Okay, so generally what you find is where you've got a water's edge, if it's dark you have this little light line, and if it's light you have this little dark line. People don't notice that you swap between one and the other, but it just gives you that boundary to the water. Now let's put a bright roof on top of my little cottage here that I found. A little bit of a roof on a couple of other buildings there. Okay, so coming back into another dark colour, I've got a mixture of my dark green and some ultramarine, and I'm going to just put a bit of shadow underneath these roof edges. Let's put a couple of windows in to those buildings over there, windows or doors. And I'm going to put a bit of shadow colour, just a bit of blue at the end of these buildings. And everybody likes a couple of trees next to home, don't they? So we'll have a couple of little buildings there, trees in there. And those are a mixture of my dark green and a little bit of a brighter green. Yes, Ursula, I'm still using the hairdryer trick. It works when you're in a rush, and if you're not in a rush it doesn't matter, but right, I'm not sure I like that little bit up there, so I just want to make it either more definite, yeah, let's do that, and break these pieces up so they're not just square edged. To make that more like just a ridge, which isn't going to be such a straight line. Ridge of those rocks coming in. There we go, so that's given me a ridge line there, which is nice. Not sure whether I'll still be able to do it, but I want to bring in a bit of light over this side. So just a little bit of light going on there. Okay, so we need to again just tuck this ridge line in behind that one, so it's just putting something that's slightly darker just in behind that ridge line. It's all a con. It's just putting a bit of orangey red in behind there. Now, I've got my dark that I've been using. And I don't want to change this, but I just want to add a little bit more dark in up here, just in a couple of places. So I've put that in. I'm going to wash my brush. I've dried my brush off on my cloth, and then I'm just going to spread that out a little bit so it's not so solid a line on one side. The other side I want it to stay solid because that's like where it tucks in behind the next layer of rock. So it's just about seeing what you can see into it and shaping it accordingly. But if you don't like what you put in, you can always just wash it away. I'm quite happy with that. How much more do we put into there? I quite like it as it is. I don't think it needs a huge amount. I quite like this big space that we've got here, and I love these, the way that that's run down. I'm not sure I like this. There's a grey blob here, so I might just put a little bit of foreground in here. So let's just respray that corner. Come back in. So it's all the same colours that I've been using here, but just a whole mishmash mix of them. Right, now what I'm going to use here for a minute is just a little cut off piece of bamboo. Let's make that shape a bit less even to start with. Right, then I'm going to use the bamboo. We've done it before, just dragging some of these colours up just to look like the grass is sticking out. And I'm doing this quite gently whilst the paint is very wet, just to give me the grasses on the edge. But as it dries off, I will scratch a little bit harder to give me some, and what I'm trying to do here is actually lift the paint off. And this is giving me lighter marks into the paint itself. It's just another texture, another layer. And don't forget to cross these over. Nature is messy and disorganised, and I love it for that. So we've got our lake there. Just going to dry brush a little bit of muddiness coming across, a few puddles on that edge. Cleaned my brush and dried it, and just fade those away. A little bit of mud down there. Now, something I do want to do, I need to find a little bit of a white pencil or a pastel, because I want those cottages there just to be a touch brighter. But that needs to be dry enough for that to happen. Okay, let me see. Do I know where I have one? I don't have one to hand, so what I'm going to do is when I finish this, I'll go and get a light pencil, light coloured white or a very light grey, and just make those stand out a little bit more. Again, just playing a little bit as this dries off, and I see little things that I want to embellish, but not a lot. Ooh, now that's interesting. I think we've just found another little cottage. Look, if I put a roof on that, there we go, we've got another little cottage there. Who saw that one coming? Little chimney on it, couple of little windows, right on the lock side. There we go. So we've got that. And then it's just about whether I need to do anything else to it, really. Do you want to see anything else, folks? Let's have a... I was thinking about whether to put something coming up here. Shall we be brave and put in something that comes up across there? Let's try it and see. Right, so I'm going to put my brush down. You've all done the twiddling with me. There we go. So just fading these little lines out. I'm going to take my little stick and see if I can scratch a little bit of information into the bark here. Something else with this stick which is really good, you can get some really fine marks. So I've just dipped it in the water and then in my paint, and you get these really beautiful, broken, unpredictable, fine little marks. We've got our framed scene. I think we could do with a few more bits coming down here. So yeah, when I've finished and I go off and find my white pencil, I shall just put a little bit of light back there. You could use inks as well. These are beautiful scratchy marks. I don't think I want to do any more to that at the minute. Now, how many of you who know me well are shouting, "Walk away from the painting"? Got to do a couple more bits. No, not going to. I'm going to walk away from the painting. So let me turn you around so I can say ta-ta. There we go. So what I'll do is I'll do those couple of little bits that I said I was going to do, and I'll put a photograph in the comments below of the finished picture. You can see that start is really dramatic. It happens really quickly. It's really unpredictable, but it's really good fun. So I do hope you're going to have a go. Happy painting, stay safe, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.